Tonight's global brief: clear, concise, and ahead of the curve. From markets to climate and tech, we scan reliable sources so you don't have to. Your world, briefing ready.
Hello and welcome to World News. I'm Eve, your anchor in our global newsroom. In the next minutes, we'll bring you verified headlines from geopolitics, business, and technology, with clear context and concise takeaways. You'll learn what happened, why it matters, and what to watch next, without noise or speculation. Stay with us as we start at the desk with today's top stories, then zoom in on the trends shaping tomorrow. Let's begin.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Today we're talking about Europe's largest nuclear power plant, Zaporizhzhia. It is, and this is no exaggeration, at the very center of a high-stakes power struggle, both literally and figuratively.
For more than 2 weeks now, just let that sink in for a second, over 14 days, this massive facility has been in an unbelievably dangerous state. It's been running on its absolute last line of defense.
And that's the thing, right? The sheer length of time. A nuclear plant running on backup generators for this long is, well, it's pretty much unheard of. These things are designed for few hours, maybe a day in a crisis, not for weeks on end.
Which of course leads us to the one question that is keeping nuclear safety experts up at night. What happens if those backups fail?
To really get what's at stake, we need to understand how a nuclear giant like this became so incredibly vulnerable. You really have to think of it as a plant on life support.
So it all comes down to this term, off-site power. This is the plant's lifeline. See, even when the reactors are shut down and not generating power for us, they still need a constant flow of electricity from the outside grid. Why? To run the cooling systems that stop the nuclear fuel from overheating and, well, melting down.
And the chain of events here is just terrifyingly simple. First, those external power lines get cut. Immediately, the plant's emergency diesel generators have to kick in. Their job is to keep those crucial cooling systems running. But those generators need fuel, and like any machine, they can break down. If that happens, the cooling stops, and the path to a potential nuclear disaster becomes crystal clear.
So how on earth did we get to this point? A quick look at the timeline really shows how this crisis has been building. It all started way back in the first weeks of the 2022 invasion, when Russian forces seized the plant. Ever since, it's been a flashpoint. But the current emergency really kicked off on September 23rd, when the very last external power line was cut, forcing that switch to the diesel backups. And that brings us to the latest development, on October 9th.
And this development is what you might call a fragile breakthrough. It's a diplomatic push that's all about safety.
So here's the deal. The UN's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, and remember, they have their own people on site. They've announced that after some really intensive talks with both Ukraine and Russia, a process has finally started to reconnect the plant to the grid.
The head of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, actually said both sides have been constructive. And, that's a rare glimmer of hope, a sign that maybe, just maybe, everyone understands how catastrophic a nuclear accident would be.
Okay, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. While there's progress in the negotiating rooms, we absolutely cannot ignore the volatile reality on the ground. This whole thing is happening inside an active war zone.
In fact, on the very same day that good news was announced, IAEA staff right there at the plant heard five distinct explosions, one right after another, happening alarmingly close by. And we're not talking about distant rumbles here. The IAEA monitors said the blasts were so powerful, they literally shook the windows in their own building, right there on the plant's grounds. It's just a brutal reminder of the military threat that's constantly there.
And to make things even more confusing, you've got these completely mixed messages coming out of Moscow. The foreign ministry is saying, nope, no reason to restart the plant. But then the state nuclear corporation, Rosatom, says they're getting ready to do exactly that. This isn't just a miscommunication. It points to some serious uncertainty about what the actual plan is here. So, where does all of this leave us? What happens next? Well, the future for the plant is anything but stable. Let's just quickly recap the key takeaways.
When you boil it all down, you see this incredibly tense balance. On one side, you've got this diplomatic breakthrough, a possible path back to safety. But on the other, you have the immediate danger of the plant limping along on vulnerable backups, all while explosions are happening right next door.
And even with this progress, the IAEA is warning everyone that a full, stable reconnection is going to take some time.
And that really leaves us with this final, sobering thought. A critical lifeline is being worked on, which could pull the plant back from the brink. But in an active war zone where a power line can be destroyed as fast as it's repaired, the real question isn't just if it can be fixed, but for how long it can possibly hold.
That's your briefing from World News. I'm Eve. Before we go, a quick recap. Key decisions in policy and markets, signals from tech and security, and the human angles behind the numbers. For more depth and verified updates, follow my channel World News Eve and enable notifications. We'll be back soon at this desk with clear facts and practical context you can use. Until then, stay informed and stay kind. Like my video, leave your comments, and help me bring news to everyone. From me to all of us, be happy.